recovery 2018 Honda Accord, and as usual, what do you see on your Honda? A lot of leaks. Because this is one that would be under the extended warranty, but they just had a collision. And I'm going to say, by judging by the amount of oil, this is an unusual amount of oil. This is a really big leak. So you got a leak there, you have this here, that guy there, that guy there, there. No stone chip damage. And if you zoom in your camera, which I've done inside previous videos, when Honda, I first started noticing all the Hondas on my videos a long time ago, before they had the warranty, and they were making customers pay over $1,000 to replace defective condensers because they denied that they had a problem. If you would look right where the fins go up at that angle, and they like attach them, braze them, you know, with their method of attaching the fins to the refrigerant tubes, they would leak up inside right at the attachment points. Not necessarily leak at the face where stones would hit and nick at the surface of the tubing. They would leak at the attachment points of the fins up underneath, inside on the tubing. And a lot of the Honda dealerships were always telling their customers that it's stone damage, it's stone damage, it's stone damage. But when in reality, it was a defective condenser, and they denied. A lot of customers got ripped off and screwed over that. So I'm about to perform the recovery. I have it open, I have it ready. The system is under, the gauges are under a vacuum because they're not open up to the system yet. I have it zeroed out, and let's open it up and see what comes out. It's 100% pure. I already did analyze on it. There's not even air content in there. And there, I don't have it open yet. Where don't I have it open? It's open there. It's open there. Oh, I don't think I have it snapped down. Yeah, I have it there. Open. Oh, this is where I'm not open. Here. Now I'm open. Now it's going down. 10 grams. Now we'll see what we get out of this one. So this is a 2018. And let's see what the other side on the liquid line is doing. As you notice, I'm not pulling out of the liquid. The liquid is not, because I don't want to pull out liquid with oil in it. So right now I'm just seeing what the pressure is over there, and it's still high over there. See, I have this closed. So I'm actually reading the pressure in the high side while I'm pulling out refrigerant only in the low side, because I don't want to draw out oil, because you don't want to do that. That's a bad thing. You'll see guys, especially unfortunately in HVAC, commercial, and some of the residentials, it's quick way, and they recover refrigerant out of the liquid line, and they don't worry about too much the oil removal process. But unfortunately in automotive, we have a higher percentage of oil in our liquid refrigerant than they do in commercial or residential HVAC. So if you perform your recovery out of the low side, yeah, you get a real quick recovery, but you also get a massive amount of oil removal, because it's taking it right out of the subcooled line, right out of the bottom of the condenser and the bottom of the receiver dryer. The bottom of the receiver dryer fills in right down here at the last 5 tubes down here, 4 or 5 tubes. And this is where all the oil and refrigerant gathers to get subcooled in the last few rows. So it's, in theory, in perfect ideal laboratory conditions that you're taught in school, in theory this is pure liquid. Not always. And at least hopefully it's stacked up by this point where you're returning, it's pure liquid, because there's a stack effect that happens. And as you run out of refrigerant, that stack effect starts moving on, and that's when you start seeing a superheat that goes higher, and you look at your subcooling, and your subcooling goes higher. And but I'm not going to go into that for automotive right now. And what pertains to automotive does not pertain to residential HVAC. Similar, some base knowledge, but it doesn't just quite click neck and neck, because there's some special things that happen in automotive that do not happen in residential or commercial. For one thing, residential commercial don't have the design constraints on them to keep miniaturizing condensers, trying to make them smaller, thinner, narrower, so they're sometimes they look like they're under capacity. I mean, if you took, let's say, these are usually 1.5 ton systems on cars. So if you took a 1.5 ton, say, little Mitsubishi or a Daikin, or your mini splits, let's talk about mini splits. You know how big and thick and how big that condenser is? It's usually several rows, it's big, and it wraps around the side. There's no way you can unfold that condenser and stick it in something like a little Honda or a little Prius or something like that, or a little Fit. So they keep shrinking down the size of the condensers. And same underneath the dash. If you've seen that evaporator out of the Prius, no, out of the BMW that I made a video on, that I don't know if I released it yet, and it's a big old giant honking thing, you know, real big tubes, fins and everything like that. Well, they don't have that kind of room anymore, so now they're micro channel instead of tube or fin. And if you go to a Prius, the thing is not any thicker than my fingers instead of that big giant thing you've seen in the BMW, and not much longer than my palm of my hand or much higher, but yet it's rated at 1.5 tons. And so there's design constraints and airflow. So we got 45 grams out there, and we're -17 on. I could open up the high side now with absolutely no worry at all of removing liquid refrigerant with oil. And I could put this in the vapor, because I was talking and not paying attention that I could have done that a long time ago. But we're in a micron level right now. Let's see what we get out of here, and let's turn off the recovery part to the unit, and let's see what our refrigerant decay goes to. And 45 grams of vapor. Let's purge the refrigerant out of the unit. We're now in purge mode, so we're purging any liquid refrigerant that was condensed and stacked in the bottom of the condenser and inside the unit, and it's actually pumping out into the unit. And we're in the 200 range, and I think this is a 395 to 400. Let's see, what do we got? 395 to 445 is our range. So since 2018, it has lost about 100 and some grams of refrigerant. Not too bad. So this guy definitely did not go through heavy fog or rain, because this is POE oil, and it washes away in the rain. When a customer has something like this, but they don't bring it in complaining about their cooling problems, and they go a year or two, usually that oil stain will get washed away. Especially if the customer went through some automatic car washes that spray up the foam and the soap and everything like that. And so by the time he gets into your shop, you don't see anything, that maybe small shadows that are almost invisible to the human eye, or real difficult. You never get to see anything that dark. So now we decayed down to 14. We're going into 13 now in those few minutes, even though we were in microns. And that means there's still refrigerant, liquid refrigerant and vapor refrigerant trapped in the oil, in the lines, in the evaporator, in the compressor, especially where most of the oil is in the bottom rows of the fins in the subcooling section, and in the bottom of the receiver right there. So open it back up. Let's get it so it's not in the purging mode anymore, and start recovering some refrigerant again. And I'll catch you guys on the next video, and that's it for this.